Hi everyone, welcome back to SmugMug Live. This is episode 90 and I'll be joined in just a moment by the wonderful Albert Dros. As always, SmugMug Live is brought to you by SmugMug and Flickr. If you're looking for somewhere incredible to showcase your images to the world, to have an incredible photo website, to store your images in the cloud, and to have a wonderful e-commerce solution, and check out everything we have to offer here at smugmug.com. And if you're looking to be part of a wonderful, wonderful photo community, then please check out what we offer here at flickr.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. I can already see a lot of people tuned in. Give yourself a shout out in that chat window. Let me know what part of the world you're joining me from. It's always good to see people engaging in the chat. And if you have a question at any point today for Albert, then please post that question in the chat window and I'll get those questions to Albert later in the episode. And of course, you can do me a huge favor by hitting that subscribe button, hitting that little bell notification. That way you'll be notified whenever we release another episode here of SmugMug Live. And if you're enjoying today's show, give it a thumbs up, give it a like. I really appreciate it. It really helps us promote the show and let more people find the incredible content that my guests bring to the show. Thank you to those of you who are giving yourself a shout out. Jim, welcome back to the show. It's good to see you again. Joining us from Canyon Lake in California. Frank is in here. He's in St. Petersburg in Florida. Beautiful part of the world. Let's see who else is in here. Barbara is joining us from Long Island, New York. Bermit is joining us from Amsterdam, close to Albert today. Who else is here? Christopher is joining us from Sweden. Gail, she says she's in Surrey, in British Columbia. Ivo, Antwerp. My goodness, lots of you giving yourselves a shout out. Hi Dave, thanks for joining. Adrian, hello from the Netherlands. Mooi, yeah. And let's see, MCVA is from Alberta. And Lokendra from India. So catching up with lots of people in the chat window, and they're still coming in, but I'm going to get to our guest today, who's joining me from Amsterdam today. It is the wonderful landscape photographer, wonderful Flickr pro. It is Albert Dros. Hi, Albert. How are you?
Hello, Alistair. I'm good. Thank you for having me on the show.
No, thank you for joining me. I really, really appreciate it. Go ahead.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. I saw already many people in the chat, and it's funny you mentioned Bermet, but and you said she's very close to me. She's actually very close because she's in the room next door. She's my girlfriend, so she's also watching.
Oh, very, very close then. That's I'm glad I gave her a shout. I could just shout really loudly and she'll hear me. And that's pretty cool. So yeah, that's cool. I think that we have a little bit of a delay, but we'll live with that today. So as I said, you are in Amsterdam, and it's a beautiful time of year to be in Amsterdam, and you're very well known for your tulip photographs, and it's tulip season, right?
Yeah, it's almost at the end of tulip season, actually. And the tulips, they were quite late this year because of the climate. I'm sure you've had it as well in Scotland. It was very cold in the last few weeks, much colder than it usually is. So the tulips are a bit late. But we can enjoy them for quite long because as the climate doesn't warm up too much, they are there for quite long. And I've been photographing them a lot the last few weeks, as I basically do every year. So for the people that know me, they have probably seen on my social media channels lots of tulip pictures from the last few weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really beautiful to see them, and it's something I wish I could come photograph with you, but not at the moment. Hopefully we can travel pretty soon and get over there. But yeah, that's two tulip seasons I've missed in a row. So we'll need to rectify that next year once it's tulip season again. How long does it normally last? How long can you photograph them typically?
If you wanna come for the tulips, I would recommend you to come half April or last week of April. Last 2 weeks of April usually is the top. Now they're a bit later, but if you're at the end or half of April, it's the best, and they usually last for about, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah, 3 weeks around that, depending on how warm it is here.
Yeah, the warmer, the quicker they die off, right?
Yeah,
So how long have you been photographing landscape photography for?
I think now it's about 10 years already. If I look back on the pictures on my Flickr profile, for example, it's around 10 years, and I would say it's like 6, 7 years very, yeah, that I've really went the professional way. I started about, yeah, it's already like 10 years ago. 10 years ago in Hong Kong, when I was living there for a while. I was living there 2 years, and that's where, like, the photography, for everyone that has visited Hong Kong, photography is really a thing there. Everyone carries this manual cameras, this film cameras. You have everywhere these labs that you can develop your photos, and there's just so many things to photograph. So the city there, it really gave me the push to really start photography. The skyline, the street markets. We will show some as well, some old pictures of mine from there. But yeah, there's just so many things to photograph there, and yeah, that's already like 10 years ago. That's when I started.
And that skyline inspired you to get into landscape. Was it always landscapes and sort of outdoor photography that attracted you?
Yeah, definitely yes. I come from a design background, and I worked for television. So I worked for the broadcasting industry. So I used to work on these television shows. The American Idol, for example. The original
Yep.
Idols. It actually came from the Netherlands. So I worked on the first version of that, on the graphics. Yeah, this kind of game shows, a lot of sports as well. I designed these graphics, and my designs were always very flashy and colorful. And this is what you also can see in my photographs. So
Yeah.
it's kind of very influenced by that.
Yeah. What was the name of that? Was it Entomol or that had the TV shows or something like that, right? Big Dutch
Yeah,
company.
it's
Can't
from
remember.
Animal Producties. I think
Yeah.
Idols is from that, right? I don't even know, but it's from John de Mol. Yeah, I think
So
so.
you,
Yeah.
you never you never decided to be a famous rock star and try and win the show?
No, no, not really. I did sometimes make some mistakes with wrong graphics on TV, but yeah, that's not really being a rock star, I guess. As everyone sees some wrong graphics on the TV, but definitely it happened. But not a lot, because else I would have been fired. But I really enjoyed doing that. I was very, yeah. I also did a lot of 3D stuff. I did a lot of video as well already,
Right.
more than 10 years ago, which you can, and that gives me really a great advantage of also in the photography career, because you see nowadays. For most people, at least for me, just taking photos is not enough to present yourself. It's the whole branding, website, videos, everything that comes around being a photographer. It's
Yeah.
very important, especially now in the age of social media. So it really helped me a lot, my background, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Today, to market yourself, you have to be, social media savvy, and you have to be able to do all those kind of
Yeah,
film yourself and videos and that type of stuff. So that's a real
exactly.
bonus having
Yeah,
that as your background.
yeah.
It's pretty cool. I'm just
And
looking
also to,
at your. Sorry, go ahead.
To answer your previous question a bit more, because you said what made you do this landscape photography. Well, I think this is the thing that I can really express my desire to create like colorful images. But landscape photography, it's very broad. You see a lot of cityscapes from me as well.
Yep.
Now I also do a lot more like macro. I like everything, and I started actually a lot with street photography, which I still really like. I still do it as well, but I don't really publish it anymore. But still, in the future, I'm planning to do a new project in street photography still. But I think it's also very important when you're doing photography to basically be interested in more things, because if you come into your own loop, kind of to create always the same things, you're getting a bit tired of yourself. Maybe I have it as well sometimes. Like, oh, I'm shooting again the same stuff, but I always have new ideas in my head that I want to execute. And I think it's very important to not limit yourself to one thing. Like, oh, I'm doing only landscape, so I cannot visit a city, or I cannot do street photography because I'm a landscape photographer. No, you're a photographer. Like sometimes I go with my friends in the studio, to make a portrait. I just enjoy every kind of photography.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are like that. But you said there's something that you don't show a lot of that work. Is that deliberate, just so that you really market yourself for the type of work you want to be doing as your job, but you still have this other photography that you kind of keep to yourself in a way?
Yeah, I guess that's kind of it. I mean, also if you look at my website, well, mostly social media it is, I guess. If you look at, for example, Instagram, there's and also Flickr, there's a feed, and if you put something there that is completely different, I don't really mind doing it, but I don't like how it looks. Then we go again back to the design industry. I don't like when something looks off, so I don't. I wouldn't post it. But for example, on my Facebook, where you don't have this feed with this grid of pictures,
Mm-hmm.
I would happily post it, and also on my website. But I want to like the different things like street photography and stuff. I don't want to just post one picture suddenly. I want to create a project of work, a body of work, and then suddenly show it like, hey, there's a new project, a whole new series of something completely different. This is what I like to do.
Yeah. So let me explain to you folks that are watching what we're going to do for the next maybe 40 minutes or so is we're going to have a look at some of Albert's images, first of all, on his Flickr account. And he's kindly put together an album to show some of the progression, right, that you've made over the years. And then Albert is very kindly going to take us into Lightroom, I believe, and do some editing and show you some of his approach to editing some of his work. And then if you stay to the end of the show, I'm going to tease you because Albert has very kindly produced a discount code for his workshop, which I will tell you at the end of the show to make you stick around for the whole show. So doing that typical live stream teaser, there's a discount code, wait till the end, but there is one. So we'll get started by having a look at some of his images, a little bit of post-production, and then we'll look at the discount for the workshop. So I have here, Albert, your wonderful, wonderful Flickr account. And as you say, you've been doing it for nearly 10 years, and it says it right here, joined in 2012. So on Flickr, almost celebrating your 10-year anniversary on Flickr, which will be kind of cool. We'll do something. We must do something special for your 10-year anniversary. That'd be kind of fun.
We should.
I'm on your Flickr account literally every day looking at these images. And you've kindly, I wasn't, there's so many beautiful images on your Flickr account. I wasn't sure how we were going to look at all the ones I really love, but you've very kindly put some of your favorites into an album for us on Flickr. And we'll let you kind of talk us through some of this. This was one of your recent ones, which has had nearly 40,000 views and nearly 2,000 likes. It's a great image. But you said it's somewhere very close to you, right?
Yeah, I like to show this one first because this is an image, especially Dutch people, they will all know it. Well, at least the location, because it's location close to my house. It's called Zaanse Schans. You can try to pronounce it if you want. But, it's not too bad. But it's a famous place, and I've been here like 50 times. I have so many images of it. And also, if you look at, for example, my Instagram avatar, which also my Instagram account is very old, it has the picture of this house, and I never ever changed it, never. So I never changed this avatar, and I've been here so many times. But the funny thing about this picture is, I took it last year in I believe similar time as now, maybe a little bit later. But this flower, I had never seen it there. And I just want to emphasize on the fact that you can come to a place 100 times, but it can always be different. So I was just there again because it's close. If weather conditions are nice, I sometimes just drop by there. And yeah, I saw this flower, and I was like, wow, I never seen it before. So I took the picture. The sky was beautiful, flower in the foreground, 14 millimeter, very wide. I believe you can see it at the EXIF data there.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, it's even 12 millimeter. Yeah. So and then I posted it, and I got all kinds of comments from people saying, "Hey, this flower, it's very rare. It's
Mm.
protected. You don't see it that often anymore." So that gave it extra meaning to the picture. So I was like, "Oh, I visited this place so many times, and I still took a unique image." So
Yeah, it's cool.
it's really
I think we all have places like that. Everywhere in the world has their iconic location. And some people think they get a bit cliched, because they've been photographed so many times and, it's been Instagrammed to death. But, I'm a great believer that if it's somewhere that you love and it's somewhere that's beautiful and it's local, then you should always go. There's always something different. The weather's always different. The time of year, the weather, as you say, the flowers, the way things grow, the light, obviously, there's always something very different. I think probably the most iconic place in Scotland is either Isle of Skye, Old Manor Store, or a mountain. It's called the Buccleuch of Moor, which is a very famous mountain. But I can't drive past it without photographing it. It's you can't. It's never cliche.
yeah, definitely.
And then the next image is something we just
Yeah,
mentioned: tulip time.
yeah, that's a very recent image. So yeah, every year, like I mentioned, I photograph the tulips. There's always something different, like you're saying. And this year we will show a bit more about it later. But there were a lot of storms, so I really aim to photograph these storms with the tulips, and it can give like very spectacular images. And I'm photographing the tulips every year for so many years in a row. But still, I can shoot different images every year, and it's a challenge. It's easy to make a good picture of tulips, but because it's so beautiful already. But it is not so easy to make a picture that really stand out between all the pictures you see of
Yeah.
tulips, because there's so many and so many good ones. So I always try to come up with new compositions, new pictures of the tulips. And yeah, it was spectacular clouds here. And when we go to the next image, I actually put an image. This one, it's very old. So look at the date. It's 2014 April. So it's 7 years old. So I just want to show in a funny way, like, okay, this was how I took my images 7 years ago. It's not a really bad image, but like this kind of image, I would never shoot it. I would never post it anymore because like it's a clear sky. It's
Yeah.
like there's not that much depth in the image. There's this house. I don't really like it. It's not clean. It's not really centered as well. So I just thought it's nice to show the difference between then and now. And
Yeah.
I'm doing that with some other images as well.
How
Yeah.
you've progressed from that to this. I mean, it's you have a very different eye now than you had 7 years ago, and a lot more skill under your belt and experience, I guess, right?
Yeah, definitely. And that's the fun thing about my Flickr account for everyone that is watching. Check my Flickr account and scroll back all the way because now we're showing a bunch of images, but there are much more. And there you can scroll all the way back to when I started 2012. And it's really fun to see for myself as well how you can see the progression of work. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that about our Flickr pros is the ability to go back and see the progression they've made, and it's quite motivating for a lot of people to go back and look at people's early work and realize, well, there's scope. This is where they were.
Yeah.
I'm at this
Yeah.
point, and there's room for us. And I always love the fact our Flickr pros, the majority of you leave your old stuff. We'll look at your very first picture, and people will probably be very surprised at what it is. But people, it's great. I love how people leave all their stuff on Flickr. The Swiss
Yeah, for
Alps.
sure. Yeah, it was also last year during the COVID. I still managed to travel a little bit, and this is really like this kind of shots. It's really my kind of style.
Hmm.
Very colorful, and this is a like we had a stunning sunset there, like crazy sunset, and my friends that were there with me, they like I have one friend, maybe you know him, Marco Grassi, Italian
Yes.
photographer, good guy, great photographer, and I was with him for a couple of days, and we had always amazing conditions. And he said, yeah, always when I'm with him, there's like crazy sunsets and insane conditions. And I'm often quite lucky when I'm in other countries, but not that lucky in my own country, in the Netherlands. But yeah, this kind of images, like I get really close to the flowers. I use focus stacking. I use complementary colors because I find these flowers, these purple flowers, that were really matching with the sky, which was also quite purple, bluish, and yeah, just very spectacular conditions. And this is also, I'm gonna come back to that soon when I share some stuff as well. Complementary colors and colors that work together. I use that a lot in my images. So through the years, I really developed my how you say that, like the taste of for colors,
Hmm.
and try to match certain colors in the color wheel, which can be very important because you don't just put some colors together. A certain color harmony, it can be very important in a photo and can be very pleasant or not pleasant to look at for the viewer.
Yeah, it can really help tell a story. Like using color theory, I guess, is the
Yeah,
kind of best description of it. Can really, because there are times that you maybe want to put images that are not complementary to give a sense of unease or, that type of thing. So it can really help people interpret your image very differently.
definitely. Yeah. Yeah, and here you have like very monotone, actually, only greens. But this is same like Austria. This Austria, and a lot of people think it's Tuscany. This area, I was there for Swiss tourism organization. Austria. Visit Austria. I was there for them to capture this Styria is called the area, and it's a really beautiful area. It looks a bit like Tuscany, but it's this, yeah, very green, these hills, and I had not the best conditions, but it was often raining. But I really like this image because you see the rain, but you see the sun just peeking through with that spectacular light, and that's what I often try to find in my photos: the
Yeah.
spectacular conditions, spectacular light. So I just I just nonstop to try to find that. And despite the not the best conditions those weeks, it was still like got some of these unique images with rain and sun, which I really really like.
Yeah, you definitely need extreme weather and unique weather to get unique pictures. So don't be afraid
Yeah,
of
yeah,
weather
yeah,
because it's fun.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, this is in Switzerland as well, and this is just like I just want to say that I think daylight images are very underrated. Most people shoot sunset, sunrise, but during the day, if you have beautiful clouds, and then in summer, and which is coming up right now, summer and spring, these beautiful grassy hills. I don't know wherever you live, but here in Europe, we have lots of them everywhere. A lot of green fields, and then if it's a blue sky with these puffy clouds, oh, you can make amazing compositions. Very minimalistic, and it's very pleasing, very
Yep.
pleasing to the eye.
Yeah, it's really, really fun photograph. Type of place you want to just go hang out for the day. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it kind of gives you that fresh feeling, huh? Yeah. So this is Dubai, where I was a few. When was it? In a few months ago already. February. Was there for the exposure
Hmm.
festival, photo festival, and yeah, we had this week long of amazing conditions with foggy mornings, low clouds, and I've been to Dubai lots and lots of times, and I always wanted to photograph this low fog, but I could never catch it. Sometimes this happens maybe a handful of days every year,
Yeah.
so it's very rare the conditions. But so I didn't really think I was going to get it. I thought, I was also with my girlfriend. I thought I'm not going to to shoot that much. But then the weather just every morning there was this just insane conditions, and basically I woke up every day 4:30 because I was like, I have to shoot. You cannot refuse. If the weather, the nature invites you to shoot, you have to go. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
So basically every morning woke up, and 7 days in a row we had this beautiful fog. So
Incredible.
every day I was on a rooftop shooting this, and I really like this image because it's like very surreal. It looks like some castle in the sky above the clouds. So it is a very futuristic image, futuristic city, but in a very dreamy way. So it's quite unique. And I if you go to the next image here, I have an image that is like 6 years ago, I think. Yeah, 2015. Similar image, but this is taken from the other side of the skyline, so it's flipped. But you can see the buildings, how it changed. Like if you go quickly back and forth, you can see there are much less buildings here. You see, and some towers you don't even see them. Some towers. So definitely, if you're watching, check that out. It's very funny to see. I think if you look at next image, it's similar. It's even more extreme. Another image from that I shot also in this session in the morning, and again. This low fog was just disappearing here about an hour after the sunrise, and we had this beautiful clouds. And this picture actually, I use a lot of panoramas in my picture. Maybe you don't see it, but this is a vertical panorama. So I'm going up, middle, down. So I'm going from top to bottom panorama.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Even with the 12 millimeter, so you can imagine I was quite close to the tower and the skyline. I couldn't even fit it in 12 millimeter, so I had to shoot a panorama. So you see this surreal, this low clouds. You see them disappearing with the spectacular clouds. But what is really fun to see, again, if you go to the next image, which is again an image of like 6 years ago. Look at this skyline. This is the ring. It's again from the other side, so again it's flipped. But you see here on the right of the Burj Khalifa, there's nothing there. And if you go back to the previous image, so you look on the left, look, there's a whole new skyline there that wasn't there yet.
A whole new city almost right next to it. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's a whole new city. It's very fun to see that developing. Yeah.
So I'm assuming your girlfriend was abandoned for the whole week if you had weather conditions like this.
Yeah,
It's okay. She's not watching. You can see.
She's in the. Maybe she's looking angry now at the screen. But no, but I was there 2 weeks. But that doesn't mean that I didn't shoot in the second week. But it's still, still had some time, definitely.
Yeah, it's an incredible. It's an incredible part of the world, and to get conditions like that.
Yeah,
while you're there, but to get them for such a long, continuous period is really incredible. And this image to me, it looks like something. I'm going to date ourselves here, but it's something that when I was a kid, you would have seen as this kind of fantasy idea of a future planet that lives floating in the clouds type of thing. It really is quite incredible to think that not only is it real, but it's actually only half of the buildings because half of it's below the clouds.
Exactly. Yeah. Actually, the ugly buildings are below the cloud, so that's very good. But I just also want to show that, cityscape, landscape, I don't care. As long as it's something beautiful, I like to photograph it. And also, I really look at, the beauty of the world, the nature, also that can also be cities. And I've had some comments like, I don't like Dubai at all, but that's totally fine. It's not for everyone, of course, but I don't look at it really. I just look at the beauty,
Yeah.
So I try to just only see the beauty, and I know that there are some things that are not so good about this kind of cities, but I just want to capture beautiful things.
Yeah, got a couple of questions coming in. Thank you to those of you who are asking questions. I really appreciate it, and I will get to those questions when it's appropriate. So let's look at this. There's a few questions here, but I'm going to jump to this one because it's appropriate for these images. Hi, Gary. Thanks for joining us today. How did you get access to the rooftop in Dubai?
Yeah. So like I said, I've been to Dubai so many times over the years. So I really built a connection there with a lot of people. I also know a lot of marketing guys from the rooftop bars, for example. So you can really easily find the rooftop bars in Dubai that are popular. And I established connection with some of them or some friends who have balconies. There are some bars that you can just get in. For example, level 43, which I have a really nice fog image as well from level 43 in Dubai as well. But you have to communicate with them. It's quite some work, to build these connections, communicate with these people, and like, of course, they want something in return often. Like you give them some images. It's just networking basically.
Yeah, a lot of it's networking and in bars,
Yeah, exactly. And hotels,
Yeah,
hotels as well. And there are some Airbnbs as well with rooftops that you
yeah.
can actually rent. And none of this images is taken with some drone or something, because some people say, you cannot fly a drone there. Well, they are not taken with the drone, so
Yeah.
it's not. It's just from rooftops.
Yeah, and also if you're staying at some of the nice hotels, speak to your concierge at the hotels, because sometimes they have the
Yeah.
connections that can really help either the hotel you're in, but they'll definitely have connections at other hotels. James Lafferty asks a question. Thanks, James. He says, "What is your planning process when you travel?"
No, that depends, of course. If I want to take pictures, which is usually the case. So, it's I plan. I really definitely really plan. So, when I go to a location, usually I'm inspired by some images that I saw online. It can be from a photographer or just from random people. When I go to a place that is completely new, like for example, Kyrgyzstan, where my girlfriend is from. I try to find, usually I use Instagram. I use Flickr because Flickr has some map module where you can see actually where all the pictures are taken,
Yep.
which is very useful. And it's great, especially when people take it with their mobile phone, because then automatically you can see the GPS coordinates. So often you're looking at pictures which are not amazing or something, but you can actually see how a place looks. So I look at, I go to a country, Kyrgyzstan, for example, and I just Google. I can Google for hours, most beautiful places, Kyrgyzstan, most beautiful mountains, most beautiful hikes, most beautiful forests, most beautiful whatever, I
Yep.
Google everything, I write down everything, I map it out, check where it is, I check some locals which made pictures there. Sometimes I talk to them, I say, hey, where's this? Hey, where's that? I make a whole map for myself. And this is kind of how I visit a place. So I have some spots that I'm like, okay, here's probably some good stuff. And then I go there and I go to these places and then I usually scout them out. So when when I have some kind of a plan, new plans come to life automatically, because I drive there and on the way I see something like a canyon, and I'm like, oh, maybe it's really nice to shoot a Milky Way here. Then I check with my phone, how is the Milky Way tonight? Okay, well, I have to be there at 3 a.m. to shoot this, So on the fly, new things happen, but I plan, I really map out a place. So I can spend days, hours, every day, find everything on Google, on Instagram, on Flickr, on Google Earth is also very good. Google Earth, you can see everything in
Hmm.
3D. I use all this stuff for planning when I go somewhere. So it's quite lengthy process. Yeah.
Yeah, and you kind of answered Frank's question there. Frank, thanks for your question. He says, "How do you plan on your subject for the day?" For example, I plan on a landscape photo shoot and end up photographing birds. But you just
Yeah.
said you can
Yeah.
you kind of do the same thing. You can get distracted and not focus on maybe the reason you were
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah. But that's a good thing, because you have a goal. So you're not going like, okay, I don't really know what to do, because then often you don't do it, so you get lazy. But if you have a goal and you're like, I'm going here, but you're doing something else, it doesn't matter. As long as you have a goal, you have a reason to go there or to go out, even your local places. The same for me here in the Netherlands. If I have a goal to shoot some place, often I come home with different images than that I have had in mind. That's totally fine. It just you just need to be out to take the images. And if you take a completely different image than you expect, and it's still very good. Well, even better, So as long as you're out, that's most important for me.
Indeed. And you spoke there about the map feature, the GPS feature in Flickr. It really is pretty
Yeah.
cool. And I just wanted to kind of demonstrate that on this picture of yours, beautiful magic windmill, which is something that you can't not photograph when you're in your part of the world. But on this particular image of yours, folks will see there's this map feature down here, so it tells you where it's photographed, and then if you hover over it, it shows you the kind of exact location that the GPS was at. And then what's really wonderful, if you click on it, it'll open the location in a much bigger map. So it'll show you
see much more.
You see Albert's picture here, but then it shows you all the other photographs that were taken around that area, so you can kind of have a look around from different angles. And some places obviously have thousands upon thousands of images in some locations. So yeah, it is a really, really cool tool to utilize, together with things like Google Earth and stuff, to visualize what you maybe want to do at a location. Do you use PhotoPills? Are you a PhotoPills user? Yeah.
Now you just disclosed one of my secret locations. Now, thank you very much.
Yeah, I don't think that's a hard one to discover, to be honest. I didn't disclose it. You put the GPS coordinates on Flickr, dude. I didn't do it.
I didn't do that. It's the drone. It was taken with the drone. That's why it's there.
Yeah,
my camera doesn't have a GPS. Actually, I completely I didn't realize that, but that's very funny. Yeah, definitely. I use PhotoPills, and the guys from PhotoPills, they're good friends of mine. Actually, Rafa and Herman. I've been working with them actually already since it was in beta, the app. So very happy, very nice. Super nice guys. Always there with the PhotoPills camp every year. And I definitely use the app a lot. It's really the best app for me for planning. Like Milky Way shots, the AR function, sunrise, sunset, everything that has any planning with photography. PhotoPills is what I use.
Yeah, give them a shout out. They're not sponsoring the show, but I love Raphael. So the show, the PhotoPills is the go-to app if you want to do, night sky photography or that type of stuff. So it's great stuff. Right. Let me see. GM Lady says, do you start a photo session with a specific focal length lens and switch to other lens while shooting? Do you go out with a lens on your camera as standard?
Yeah, so I usually bring everything. I bring all my lenses, I bring my drone, but I really like to shoot with a wide angle, like especially for example, I'm shooting the tulip season. Usually I really like wide angle shots and this spectacular wide angle that I showed you before. But lately, I take so much of that, so that I use the telephoto much more. So almost like a macro shots of tulips, not macro, but shooting with the 100 to 400. I definitely switch lenses just to take some different images. And I find myself often indeed taking the telephoto when I'm actually plan on using the wide angle. I always bring everything, because if I don't bring one lens, I always have the problem that I see a shot where I need that lens for. So it's very annoying, especially in the mountains, if you cannot bring all your lenses. So
yeah. Right, I'm going to encourage people to go over to your Flickr account and take a look, because we could talk about these pictures all day, but I want to get into some editing, post production work with you. But head over to Albert's Flickr account. In this particular album, I did want to go to this picture, because I believe this is the first picture you ever posted on Flickr.
On Flickr, it's not the first picture I took, but the first picture I posted on Flickr, which it's not a bad picture. It's a nice picture. It's from my cat, the cat, which lives with my parents, still lives there. It's doing very well, this cat. So it was the first picture with. I think it was. I've been using Sony now for many years, but this was with Panasonic. GH2 with some manual lens.
Still your profile image as well.
I like to keep this image the same, because people recognize it. But definitely check that out. And also when you why I put some of the other images in that. If you go down more, Alistair,
Yep.
you can see all my, like, also the old images. So here, for example, the Milky Way image, this image really helped me in my career. It went viral at that time in
Yep.
2015. And then the next image was actually the first Milky Way image I ever took, first successful Milky Way image, which was also with the GH2. It was in La Palma in Spain. But yeah, that was my first good Milky Way image. And I was very active in the community of, maybe Ian Norman lonelyspec.com. Shout out to him. He's doing always, since forever, lots of nighttime stuff. And I was so intrigued by that that I tried with my GH2 and I managed to take this picture. I was so happy with it. And me and Ian also became really, good friends over the year. So it's just funny to show the first Milky Way image and then some newer one, basically.
Yeah,
but yeah, all the images at the bottom, they're all old images. And what is also fun to see is this a few images about the street photography. I was doing some black and white, you can see. And also here, this was in 2015. I was also already doing focus stacking handheld, and now focus stacking very popular. If you go to the previous image, Alistair, that one, you see the cat. In the original image, it was not in focus, so I took again really quickly with the focus on the cat, and you can see actually if you look behind the cat, it's slightly out of focus. So actually, focus stacking is not done that well. But at that time, I was already thinking, like, I always think of solving problems, in photography. So I was already thinking, shit, I cannot take it in focus in one shot. Okay, what do? I take another image to get the cat also in focus, because I really wanted to show this scenery of that little shop with this woman and this cat sitting there. I felt that cat was really nice to be included in the photograph.
Yeah, great. So yeah, go check out Albert's Flickr account. You'll find him at Albert Dros on Flickr, of course, and there's hundreds and hundreds of incredible images posted up there. So go check out those and give them a like. Leave lots of comments. Of course, on Flickr we like more than just likes. We love to have conversation and chats in these photographs. So it's great to see lots of conversation going on around your photographs. It's incredible. But I'm sure people would love to see a little bit of what you do when you come back from a shoot and you have an image and you want to get it ready for posting on your Flickr account. So I think you're going to share your screen for me.
Yeah, let me share some quick stuff. Let's see if this works. Screen. Okay, I think now it's shared.
Let me pop over there. I see your.
Okay, let me see.
There we go. Yep.
And then I can actually, okay,
Yep.
now it's showing. Yeah. So before I want to do something, I want to explain a little bit. Like I mentioned, I really like to look at colors and make certain colors, make them work together. So here we have the color wheel. Like if we look at this image, these are all my images. So I always look at color wheel, and there are a lot of different color combinations that work very well, pleasant to the eye. So complementary colors is one way that I use a lot. So you can see in this picture is an orange tree in autumn with this bluish background, and we can see the colors in the color wheel. They're all like bluish and orange, so they're complementary, opposite sides of the color wheel. So in post-production, actually, I made these orange leaves a little bit more orange, and this a little bit black background. I gave it a bit of a blue tone to get the complementary color look. So when I edit photos, I also explain this in my course, which I have on editing as well. But I really look at color. Here we have an analog color pattern. So all the colors that were kind of distracting, I kind of removed them to get a color palette that is completely greenish and a little bit orange, but it's all very close to each other. So you have an analog color analog colors in your image that work very well. Here we have a complementary and analog combined. So I have a lot of oranges in it, very analog, and then I complement it with blue on the other side. So I have bluish and orange tones. Here I have split complementary. So I have a kind of three-way colors in the color wheel. So it's a split complementary, it's called. Also works well. I don't use it that much, but here there were a lot of green tones in the building. So I made sure that those greens were perfectly positioned here in the color wheel through editing so that it looks in harmony still. Then here we have double complementary. So I have two sides. I have green and magenta, and I have red and blue. So I have here the magenta and the greens, and the reds and the blues. So I look in the color wheel, and I always like put the colors very well in space so that they look in harmony with each other. So this is what I find very important. Colors in design and also in landscape photography. I really, really, really like colors. So let me just show you something. Let me go in here. Here you can actually see some of my tulip images from the season. So Alistair was talking about this one in the beginning, I think. I took it a few days ago, and actually I wanted to shoot the image like this for many years. You know, every time when, like, we don't get a lot of thunderstorms here, especially not in the tulip season. And a few days ago, we finally had again a night of evening of thunderstorms. And I tried my luck, and I got this image. I was super happy with this image. But like back to what I said before, taking unique images of tulips. Here I have another one with the moon. So I always try to find different things. Here we have a very rare flower in the tulip fields. So I always try to find some different things.
Cool.
If you look at this one as well, you have a goose with a very foggy morning. This was taken like 300 millimeter, no, 400 even. And you see this, 200 millimeter. And you see this goose that was just spreading his wings. So I just got that moment very, very lucky, but I was just waiting for it. You can see I shoot it in many different conditions. Telephoto, dreamy shots, this kind of stuff, everything. And in the city, everything with tulips. I really like it. When we look at this image, I actually took this image yesterday. So here, again, the color palette, really nice purple, yellow, orange with blue, a really nice color palette. I saw this little bunch of tulips in front of all the others. I really liked it, and there was beautiful sky. So let me just show you quickly the image. I have it in Photoshop here, actually, the image. So what I did, I didn't use Lightroom that much for this. I just did some simple sliders. But if we look at the one of the before images, so an image is two images actually. This bright one for the foreground, and I took a dark one for the sky. So if we delete this mask, this was the dark one. So one image so that I have almost no noise basically in the foreground. I could pull up the shadows here in the foreground, but so I already in the field thought, okay, I need one bright image, one dark image. So what I did is I brought these two images into Photoshop, the bright one, then we have here the dark one, which I masked out actually. So what I did actually is I used the Luminosity Mask. So I went into TK panel here, which I use for luminosity masking. I cannot go into that much detail here because then I'm talking for 2 hours more, basically. So I'm going to do it quite quickly. But like Alistair mentioned, I have a course on this where I show everything exactly how to do this kind of stuff. So if you're interested in that, definitely check that out. But then I use a luminosity mask, like for example, Lights 2. Basically, a luminosity mask, it selects the bright or dark areas in your image. So now you can see it selects only the bright tones, and then I can use only the bright tones to apply the mask, basically. So you can see this mask is only applied to the very bright tones, and then I adjusted it manually a little bit. So here I have really nice the sky, and then I cleaned up a bunch of stuff with the healing brush here. So here I have the spot healing brush. So all these ugly things, actually I should have removed them when I was there in the field, but I was too excited about the beautiful sky. You know how that happens, because sky was so beautiful.
Yep.
I was like, I need to shoot quickly before this beautiful sky is gone. So I didn't clean up that much. So if you look at my cleaning here, I clean all these ugly bits. I remove them from the picture. Also this cut off tulip, which is a bit sad. So I removed that one as well. So just did some cleaning. Then I upped the brightness a little bit, because I thought, okay, image is a little bit dark. Then I did some darkening here at the bottom, because I felt it was better in balance. Then I worked a lot on the sky, actually, and I really like to do that. I use a lot of brushing to make the sky like really, a bit dreamy. If you look at my sky, you see I made it a bit like softer, everything. And this is what I really like to do with brushes. So if we open it up, it's actually quite some things there. Yeah. So I put some blue at the top, some more blue. Cleaning again here, because this ugly mess, there was some ugly mess there that I thought to remove it. Then I have here some red on the right. There was a lot of red on the left, so I thought, okay, I brush a little bit of red here on the right to have it like more more balanced image, basically. Then maybe some change of hue. This yellow part, I thought it's a little bit too yellow. Then I painted with a brush a little bit of glow here at the sun, where the sun is, and then also some orange glow here, and some overlay. Maybe it's too much now if I look at it. Always when you look at an image later, I just edited this image this afternoon. When you look at an image later, you see new things, and then I think, oh, maybe it's too much. You always have it. So don't edit the picture and immediately post it on social media or something, because 1 hour later you think, you think it's, oh shit, the image is way too colorful, or is way too muted, or it's too contrasty.
Just live with it for a little bit before you post it.
Exactly. Okay, here I did some more foreground, some brighter. It's small changes, all quite small changes, but in total it's a big change. Then what I did here is actually I made this bright area behind the tulips. I made it darker. Because I wanted the purple tulips to pop out a little bit more. So you see, I made it darker. And how I did that is what I actually did is I used the luminosity mask based on color. So I made purple luminosity masks, magentas. So if I press that here, you can see Photoshop will make magenta color masks. And I'm using TK Action Panel, which is version 4, which is quite old. There are many panels where you can do it manually, but Photoshop doesn't have it. It doesn't have it itself. So if you're wondering where's this panel in Photoshop, it's not there. You have to buy it, or you can do it manually as well. I also explain it in the course. But anyway, here now you see it's making this luminosity mask based on magenta. So you can see here, it all the white is the purple. So all the purple is selected, and all the black is not selected. Well, I can adjust this mask manually. So I can say to image mode, adjustments levels. So I say, okay, I will make this mask more contrasty. So this gray, I also want it black. So I adjust the mask and make sure that only the white tulips, the purple tulips are selected. So they're all white now. I can press OK. So now I have selected with this mask only the purples. I can command click on it, and I select only the purples. If I do that, and I turn back on everything, now I select only the purple tulips. I can actually go to select inverse, and now I select everything except the purple tulips. So now I can, basically, this is what I did in this layer. I brushed in that mask, and I affect only the ground and not the tulips. So I made the ground darker. so that the purples of the tulips pop out a lot. Huh? Then I use Luminar because I use Luminar for some things. Sometimes I edit in Luminar, sometimes Lightroom, sometimes Photoshop. But Luminar is very good in making some orton glow, use some split toning as well. So I finalize the image. You can see, because the sky is blue, I wanted the foreground also a little bit more blue to kind of balance the image with the blue. So if I turn this on, you can see the image is a bit bluer, and there's a bit glow over the entire image to make it more dreamy. What I do a lot as well is what you see me do now, is I zoom out. Oh, my computer's giving up. I zoom out, and then I can really see what is happening in the image. So I can see the balance between colors, between certain elements in the composition. Usually when I edit, I do that a lot so that I can quickly see, oh, is something wrong? Is something distracting? Because if you see some distracting thing on a very small image, well, then you're sure that viewer is distracted. Because now if I look at the small image, suddenly I see some tulip here that is quite colorful at the edge. I was so busy with the image that I completely look at the center and I didn't see this. But when I look very small, I suddenly saw it. So I'm like, okay, that is not good. So I maybe make that a bit darker. Oh, it's too much. Yeah, just a little bit darker to take the focus off from that. And so that's very quickly how I approach this image. But I'm sure for many of you it went way too fast. But in my course, I don't want to promote the course that much. But if people like this kind of stuff, definitely check out my course. And I also want to show you. Let me see here. Is the course. So it's edityourlandscapes.com. You can also go there from my website, basically. So it has all the things you need for editing. It's a video course, so you can do it whenever you want. You always have access. And the nice thing about it is there's a free content also, which is like 40 minutes. Also introduction to the course, so you can see if you can follow along. It's in Lightroom, Photoshop, and also has some Luminar, all the sections you can see here. If you're interested in that, definitely check it out. Like Alistair said, there's a discount code. It's Love Flickr. It's available for 1 week, the discount code. This is the discount code. And normally it's 125, and after the discount code, it's 99. And it has been this price already for almost a year. So I never really discount it a lot. Like this is the discount, the maximum discount that there will be. Maybe when there's a new course out, which will take some time, definitely. I'm planning on making a new course also in the field, but this is only for photo editing. That's that.
It's great. Yeah, it's cool. Thank you for sharing that. A few questions come in there, obviously, while you were demonstrating that. But I got a question for you. So the color theory that you showed us there, with having these complementary colors, etc. Obviously, the base color is in the photograph, but it's maybe not the exact color that you want it to be, right? So what is it that you use to adjust is it just a hue tool or
definitely. Yeah. So it's not complicated. Also, if you look at my course, many people say, "Oh, I didn't know it's not that complicated. It's quite easy techniques, changing the hue, sometimes using a brush to paint a bit of color. I use that a lot as well with Luminosity Mask or just normally. So definitely not complicated techniques to achieve a nice result. I also had someone say, actually, he said, "Oh, I didn't know you actually need to do a lot of effort to take those photos, because I'm not really into changing a moment completely. So I don't really like changing a sky or something. When you see my images, you will know that it's a real picture. It's a representation of the moment. But sometimes, yeah, often the moment I make it a bit more beautiful. Sometimes I shift a bit of colors, but it's not like changing the moment completely. So yeah, some people said like, oh, yeah, for the base image, you actually need to get up very early. Oh, I'm not sure if that's for me. Some people thought they can just learn in the course how to Photoshop everything. But that's not what it's about. It's always about improving or like trying to show that moment that you experienced in a beautiful way in your photograph. That's what I'm really about. I love to show the moment in the most beautiful way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. People say, "Oh, they're not sure if they have to get up in early to do this stuff." But here's an interesting question from Raymond. Thank you for your question. Raymond says, "What do you prefer, blue hour or golden hour?"
Ah, it's a good question actually. I think ooh, I think I prefer the blue hour. I really like golden hour, but blue hour also in the morning, it has very mysterious atmosphere. Also blue hour with the moon, I love it. And with blue hour again, you can play really with complementary colors. Also in cityscapes, in blue hour, all the lights, I shift them a little bit to orange so that you have this beautiful blue and orange color palette. And in golden hour, while it's beautiful, I also love golden hour, but it's very difficult to play with color because golden hour, like it's everything is just golden. It's just
Yeah.
influenced by the light so much, so everything has this dreamy yellow gold atmosphere, which again is beautiful, but you cannot play that much with colors, and that's why blue hour for me, I think I prefer it just a little bit above the golden hour. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for answering that. And Frank's got a question here. This is always an interesting conversation on especially on Flickr. What are your thoughts on watermarking your photos with your name?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't do it because I always no matter how beautiful or how small your watermark is, I always find it a distraction from the image. I just want people to see the image as beautiful as possible, especially when you look at sites like Flickr, for example, who display in nice quality. It's also a thing. Like most people, they watch pictures today these days on Instagram, but definitely check out my work on Flickr because in big sites it's so much better to see. But yeah, the watermark, it's always distracting, so I don't really like it. But I can definitely understand why people do it, because you can like. For me, my images, they have a certain style. So lots of times people can already see that it's an image of mine, even without seeing the name. But it's not always like that, and also people steal, of course, images, and this is that's the most annoying thing. So, but yeah, I just don't like it. I feel distracts from the image, or I never do it.
Yeah, obviously on Flickr you have control over the privacy of the image, the size that you can see it. But no matter where you put an image, if you put it online, people can
Yeah.
screen grab that image. So I understand why some people watermark, and I understand both sides of the debate. I personally don't like watermarking. I don't like seeing text on an image. Different
Yeah.
if you're producing a print and it's limited edition and you're signing it or something. But across the photograph is, for me, I don't like it. But I completely understand people that want to do that and make sure they're kind of recognized as the author of that piece of work. So lots and lots of comments from Augusto in the channel, but I don't speak Spanish, unfortunately. But I think he is asking, have you visited Peru? I think that's when did you go to Peru? Have you visited Peru?
No,
No.
unfortunately not. And I have some, yeah, I've seen some images of my friends, Marco and Max. Max has some, Max is also a Dutch guy, Max Rive. I'm sure many people know
Oh,
him,
yeah,
great landscape
Max is
photographer.
incredible. Yeah.
He has some incredible photos of Peru, definitely on my list to go. But unfortunately, I have not visited that part of the world yet. But sooner or later, I will be there for sure.
Yeah, incredible part of the world. So before we finish, I just want to encourage people to obviously go to your Flickr site, but go check out Albert's site at albertdros.com. You'll find all of Albert's links in the description below the site here. I also wanted to point out that Albert is an ambassador for Sony, and you just released this new trailer. I'm going to leave the audio off so that we don't get striked for copyright, but you just released this new trailer for a masterclass that you have over at Sony, and this one is free, yeah?
Yeah, it's a complete masterclass on landscape photography. It's like 1.5 hour long, so really long. Tips on composition in the field. Just one big lecture, and we just released it with Sony Europe. Really happy with the result. It looks really nice, so definitely check that out. Check out the trailer. This is Sony Europe YouTube account.
Yep.
There's a link there which leads you to the whole masterclass. So if you're interested in that, definitely check it out. Like Alistair said, it's completely free. So check it out.
It's incredible what Sony are doing with some of these this free content. But this one is really just about you taking the photograph. If people want to know how to edit and post-produce their work, then obviously check out the course that you'll find at albertdros.com. Of course, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor, and that's hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell notification. That way you'll be notified whenever we release another episode here on SmugMug Live. And later this week on Thursday, again at 11 a.m. Pacific, so that's 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. in the UK, 8 p.m. in Europe, I'm going to be joined by the wonderful Dotan Segui, who is a wonderful black and white street photographer based out of LA, and he's going to be joining me on Thursday to look at some of his work, but also look at how he uses Nik Software's Silver Effects Pro to process his black and white imagery. It's a great tool. I've been using Nik Software for many years, and Silver Effects Pro for me is the go-to black and white editing software. So Dotan will be with me on Thursday. It's going to be a great episode, so join us for that. But Albert, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate you giving me some time. What's next for you? Back to the tulips tomorrow?
Maybe shooting sunrise. I have to check weather again, but still some days left for the tulips, so want to squeeze the last little bit out of that. After that, I think it's soon time for me to visit some other country again, because honestly, it's a bit 1 year lockdowns getting a little bit boring. So hopefully soon we can start to travel again. Yeah.
So there's still some wonderful comments coming in here. Everybody's saying thank you. This might be your favorite comment of the show, though. Bruce Cooper says he's bought your workshop. So
thank you so much, Bruce.
Yeah.
If anyone has still, so if we didn't get to all the questions, feel free to send me a message on Flickr, on Instagram, or email me. I always reply to everyone. So don't be scared to ask your question to me directly. I will definitely answer. And thanks everyone so much for watching, and thanks Alistair for having me on the show.
Well, thank you for being such a wonderful long-term Flickr pro. We really appreciate you being part of the family here. So look after yourself, and wherever you are in the world, as always, stay safe, be kind, look after each other, and we'll see you back here for another episode of SmugMug Live very, very soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.